Welcome to the guest room, hosted by yours truly, Joshua Farber. This will be a show of interviews and talking, but with hopefully better vibes than just interview and talking. We're going to have great times here, so without further ado, let's get the show on the road. So my first guest will be Karen Berger. I've known her for a very long time. She's had a life with struggles, and every time she's had a struggle, she's overcame it. And I respect her so much. And really, she had a drug abuse problem, and she's been clean for 20 years. She had breast cancer, and now she's done with chemo. And she's just a very great woman. I'm so glad to bring her on for my first guest. So, I'll bring her on right after this commercial break. So,
Are you ready to get glazed? It's time to get glazed with Dan Glazer and friends at Jerry Farber's Side Door Hour, featuring Comics on Parole Open Mouth every Wednesday night at 9:30 at Jerry Farber's Side Door at 3652 Roswell Road, Atlanta, Georgia. $5 admission, which includes free wings and sandwiches. So join us for a mouthful of laughter at Jerry Farber's Side Door at 3652 Roswell Road, Atlanta, Georgia. Give him a call, 770-738-3000. That's 770-738-3000. Or visit him on the web at www.jerryfarberssidedoor.com.
I want to give a little shout out to Jerry Farber's Side Door. We have an open mouth at Jerry Farber's Side Door every Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. It's a $5 door fee, but you get all the chicken wings you want to eat, all the sandwiches, and some stage time. So come out to Jerry Farber's Side Door. Also, let's give a shout out to all the other great open mics like Laughing Skull, The Basement, Improv, Bonkers, and there's many more. So have a good time on an open mic and go out and enjoy yourself.
welcome back. So here's my first guest, and I love her to death. So, so I want to jump into the first question here. What is more rewarding to you, beating cancer or beating drugs?
Waking up in the morning.
Great answer. Good answer.
I think if I wake up, everything else is fluff or BS, and I'll get through it. Well, I think I had to. I really think I had to get into recovery and start leading a life without drugs in order to be able to be responsible enough to find out that I was sick and then be able to take care of myself, because I think I'm pretty typical of most drug addicts. When you use drugs, that's all you care about. And they say the getting and using and finding ways and means to get more. I really didn't care about anything else. So I wasn't going to take time to have a mammogram when I could be getting high. So I think I needed the recovery first.
Mm-hmm. And I like the saying that you do. You don't like to survive, you like to thrive. And I go by that too. And that's just really great. And you're writing a book, and that's coming up for you. And so that's great. And what's the book going to be called again?
The book's going to be called Dare to Thrive. Hopefully, if nobody takes it before that, don't take it, because it's my name. And what I've been doing, when I got diagnosed, I began a blog on Facebook, and it's called Karen's Purple Butterfly Journey, because I love purple and I love butterflies. And so I would just journal every night about what was going on. And all of a sudden, it just sort of morphed, and I sort of feel embarrassed because like hundreds of people that are following me now, which is like, I don't know, just going through breast cancer, what's the big deal? I did it to kind of be therapeutic, and it was suggested to me that I might want to do a book. So now that I'm past my chemo, I finished it on Thursday, I'm going to start editing my book, editing the blog. And because, shocking, it's too long because I write the way I talk, which is way too much. And Great. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to create a workbook in it, because I think writing when you're going through life-changing events is really important, and not everybody knows how. So I'm going to put a journal in there as well, and then hopefully I'll be able to to be of service to somebody.
Do you feel like an artist as you write a book, or do you feel more like you're just telling your story? Or do you feel like it's an art, or do you feel like you're just bringing it out within yourself more?
Wow, you are so cool. What a great question.
Not really.
Yeah, I'm old. I know these things.
Okay.
I think I'm just a woman that was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I've had other things in my life where I've survived. I've been through more than just drug addiction and breast cancer, and there were times I didn't have any other tools, so I just survived. I just got by, and gratefully, because of recovery and the people I choose to have in my life, I got other tools, and now I got to choose whether to survive or to make it better. I think everything in life gives you the chance to either use it as a reason or an excuse. You can use it as a reason to say, oh, poor me, blah, 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 or you use it as an excuse to elevate yourself and say, okay, got this, what are we going to do with it? And so that's what I'm trying, and I've done both. Right. It's not because I'm so noble. I believe me, I've used it as a way of manipulating other things in life. This time I chose to say, you know what? Let's do this. Let's elevate. Let's do something positive with it and pay it forward, because I'll just say this. I don't have any blood family, so everybody it's all my friends and my neighbors and my network that have gotten me through. Your dad being one of those really amazing people. Your dad called me every single day. And because of people like that, like your dad that got me through, now I got to pay it forward. And that's what the book, I'm going to hopefully create a foundation and help people that need money, that, people need money to have gas money to get to chemo and all kinds of things. I want to create a foundation with the money and pay it forward and help other people.
What would you say to someone that recently found out they have breast cancer?
Wow. Huh. Well, I would share my experience, strength, and hope like I do in recovery, and that's the only thing I can do. And like the woman that did it that I met when I was diagnosed, and I would share that you get to do this your own way. That's the biggest thing. This is it can be as private or as public as you want it to be. Some people don't even tell their family. Me, I let the world know. That's just, hi, I'm here. I got breast cancer. But, you get to do this whatever way you want. And I think that knowing that that's your right, no matter what your friends, your family say, and then, let them know about the resources available, especially because, I'm here in Atlanta. It's unbelievable what's available to us ladies going through this.
All right. And, blanked out. Okay, so was the physical or was it the emotional stress that was worse? And
you are really good at this.
First try, so
I gotta tell you, you are definitely your father's son in this area. Okay, so well, it was the emotional. It was definitely the emotional, because to be really honest, and I hope that it's okay that I'm saying this, when you're talking about a woman and her breasts, that's so much of her identity. And when that's gone, and when you're in the process of having to lose it, and then you have to, you find out you're going to lose your hair and you're going through chemo and all that, it's very emotional. And I chose to go bald in public, which I never thought I would do. So there was so much about that decision, and the women that encouraged me and gave me the courage to do it because they had done it. It was really emotional. The physical part really, that wasn't too bad. And actually, I used to be a pretty big girl, and they took my stomach, they made new boobs. Now I look like a 20-year-old underneath. So, and Humana paid for it. So, it's not the worst thing in the world. So I'd say it was emotional. But even there, you use it as an excuse or a reason. And there's a lot of support if you want it.
And you went through 12 rounds of chemo?
I went through 6 rounds of what I call the yucky stuff. The stuff that you lose your hair and you lay there going, is this ever going to be over? And then for the last 9 months, I've been going through maintenance chemo, which has some milder, it's not nearly the same, But I think one of the things is, and it's interesting because this just happened this week. I had my last chemo, and I found out. I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to be so happy. It's the end of chemo, and it wasn't that way. And the social worker actually at the chemo lab told me the hardest transition is going from a patient. They call it a survivor. Thank you for acknowledging. I call it a thriver. But for 15 months, all I've been is a woman with breast cancer being treated. Now I'm not. Now what? And it's not that I don't have things to do, but again, mentally and emotionally, it's, how do I do that? And a lot of it is also, I'm going to get a little emotional, shocking to those that know me. There's some guilt in that I walked out of that chemo lab knowing I don't have cancer anymore, knowing I'm done with my chemo, and there's men and women there who either are in the middle and really sick, don't know if or when they're ever going to end their chemo, and it's almost like a survivor's guilt type thing. So again, the only thing I can do is feel my feelings, get the support that I need, journal about it, and then pay it forward by being there for other people that are going through it. So I'm planning on once or twice a month, at least, depending on my work schedule, going back to the chemo lab and just walking around and talking to the patients. And I have these little magnets that say, you are special, so be good to yourself today. You have one.
Yeah.
So.
And you did say that you worked all the time that you had chemo, and that, or was it most?
Yeah, when it knocks everything out of you. Right. And so I did need to take breaks to sleep, but I was really grateful with the company I work with. I work with an amazing company. They allowed me to work from home, and so when I needed to sleep, I did. But yes, I did work, and I could have gone out on disability, but I don't own a television, so what am I going to do? Lay there all day and go, oh God, I got chemo. No, I had to learn a new norm through chemo, that I couldn't do so much of the stuff that I used to do. So on the weekends, I would say, okay, well, if I'm feeling well, I'm going to go to this arts festival. I'm going to do, because it was during arts festival season. I'm going to do this, this, and this. And then if I wasn't okay, then I would do something at home in my arts and crafts room. And so it was the same kind of thing. On the days I wanted to have as much normalcy in my life while this chemo was just taking everything from me.
And I hate to take you off, but it's about time, and we'll bring you up again later on the show. So
thank you.
And I'll try to bring you back another time. So I'll see you. Good.
Thank you. You're wonderful. Thank you.
Hey, this is Johnny Van Zandt. You're watching American Hearts Radio Web TV.
Hi everybody, I'm Chris Massey from The Chris Massey Show. You know, one of my favorite places to hang out, eat, and play music is the Moonshadow Tavern in Tucker, Georgia. Moonshadow Tavern, they got great food, great drink, and great live music 5 nights a week. Right now at the Moonshadow Saloon, you can go and get 5 appetizers for $5, $5 each. That's right, 5 appetizers for $25. So just go down there and get them. Hell, those appetizers, man, that's a whole meal in itself.
Really well done.
So this is my second guest, Abby Drue, and again, I've known her for a very long time, and she's just so great to me and so great to my family, and I love her to death as well. I've known both of these guests, and so not only a family friend, she's how do you call it? She's the owner of the Ben Marion, which is a
I
charity.
own my behavior.
Yeah. You own the Ben Marion, and you've gotten several awards, such as in 2014 you got the Georgia State House Proclamation honoring the Ben Marion and such awards, and you held a banquet for my dad and gave him a great award. And so we're going to talk some about that, and thank you for all that, really.
Well, you're complimenting me greatly. The Ben Marion is certainly important to my heart.
Right.
I don't know if I own it or it motivates me. It drives me into doing good things and to be continually curious. I'm executive director. I think the people who own it are those who choose to honor me by, participating in really promoting and looking at how we are in this world, how we navigate, and how we choose to be the mean-spirited or why or not. And the Ben Marion is committed to really, promoting behaviors about, a lot like you, soft edges, kindness, a little bit of empathy, and to remain curious.
And so you named it the Ben Marion after your parents.
I did.
Why did you pick your parents to honor the name of?
That's a good, it's always fun to talk about that because it's near to my heart. The Ben Marion, Ben was my dad, Marion was my mom. And sometimes you do things, I think, that just give you a shot in the arm for yourself. Ben and Marion just had a very keen sense of fairness. And you can grow up in a family, and I think I'm so fortunate because you can grow up in a family that tell you, be respectful, be quiet, listen to your elders, clean your room. But really, for me, what I came to appreciate about Ben and Marion is that they really didn't tell me these things, they modeled it. I saw it, I lived and saw how they behaved. And they were just gentle, kind people who really had, a keen sense of fairness. And they had a good sense of humor.
That's the most important key.
I know. It's just, first of all, to be able to laugh at yourself, which is a part of what I try to bring into the Ben Marion, that we don't, that we try to look at what we do and trying to figure out and make sense in this world without being critical. So we try to do it in a non-critical and create these safe spaces where people can explore this kind of, existence of where that we've gotten these messages that sometimes make us grumpy, sometimes, really hold us back from, I think, breathing without like we're breathing through a straw. You get a straw and you just Life is, and as your last guest, who I just respect so much too.
Me too.
It's about really knowing how to take a deep breath and, first of all, honoring yourself. So, and that's the message from Ben and Marion.
Mm-hmm.
So,
when you first started the Ben Marion,
yeah,
how did you want to change the world?
The first thing I wanted to do was not change the world. My mom and daddy didn't raise a fool. There's no way. There's no way. If you're vested in outcomes, if all you're doing is about worrying about outcomes, I think what we tend to do is we miss the essential message about learning about ourselves. So for me, what I wanted to do was begin to do things that I came to realize were most important, and that's to always be doing things that make sense. So for me, I didn't want to change the world. I wanted to help promote good questions, critical thinking, that I saw growing up and through my young adult life, how people, maybe didn't ask good questions and who kind of stayed in a really kind of a place that shut other people out. Mm-hmm. We have it mean-spirited, biased, bigoted. We can go through lots of words. But underlying it, I just was curious. And what I wanted to do was to get up every day and do something that made sense.
Yeah, and I think most people can't say they do that.
Well, I think we all have good intention. Part of what with the Ben Marion, and it's taught me, and it's reminded me, and it's made me happier, is to always assume goodwill. And when you wake up and you're doing something that makes sense, you can relax more. With the Ben Marion, I have learned, and I learned from my parents, the most important thing, and what I love about you, is the authentic piece. It's like when your insides and your outsides are the same. And I do, Josh, I see that in you. It's something that's taken me a longer time to do, where I can wake up and know that what's inside and what's outside are exactly the same. And I found out when people are doing that, they tend to be happier, they tend to be calmer, and most important, I'll tell you something, they tend to leave other people alone and not bother trying to maneuver or control others, but more to be just curious and know that you're enough to ask good questions of other people, even though at first they can set you on edge.
And so the Ben Marion, it connects more to younger adults than to older people?
I want to go through life. I think I love that question, because for me, the thing that essentially every year I'm alive, I realize that all of us who become, or given this word adult, I don't know when somebody told me that I had to become an adult, but I am. I pay bills, I do lots of things. But the essential piece of us that we never lose and we need to honor is that we do have a kid in us. The Ben Marion can respond, and I would like to think it responds to that piece of all of us that genuinely has souls that never should be diminished, just like with kids. And the outreach, yes. I'm very, very committed to exactly what my parents did too, that they allowed their children, and I would allow, when I have all children, have the experience of being heard. And we have too many adults who still are staying in a younger place because they just haven't been heard.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, some of these folks who are grumpy and mean-spirited overall, or have so many opinions, they don't know how to use their ears and listen.
Politicians.
Yeah, well, you know, everybody has a motivation. They're trying to get their authenticity. Maybe we could help them a little.
Yeah.
And just saying, you know, as the old saying goes, everybody puts their pants on one leg at a time. Even ladies these today do. Even some men put skirts on. You know, whatever is. But the essential piece is it's about authenticity. And I think in allowing people to just be, whatever works, whatever in this world gives you that chance, like I said before, of breathing a full breath and being genuinely allowed to be, I think then we honor our own souls. And when we don't do that, we diminish ourselves over and over again. You know?
Yeah, I totally agree. Would you say travel can kind of bring out that? Because I remember you were telling me all these stories of you going to all these foreign countries and having all these great experiences. And so do you think someone traveling can kind of bring out that in a way, or do you think just you have to understand yourself, you can't always?
Well, I can only share what it did for me.
Okay.
And for me, I think it opened up traveling and putting yourself in situations that maybe aren't familiar, echo the same thing we do with one another, even on our own turf. But traveling really gave me, it empowered me in ways of saying, okay, there's an awful lot out here, and I don't know about it. And the older I've gotten, it's humbling, the less I feel I know. But the difference is, I really do know how to ask questions, and I really do know how to be an active listener. And traveling, I think, especially for all of my American brothers, sisters, does open up an area that could make us even more vital in terms of all we have been given and in terms of all we can share. And I learned by traveling that when one person meets another, I know this sounds odd, a third person can benefit. So when I came back from all these travels, and yes, I went to Africa, I was in Asia, they were all learning experiences. I wasn't on a tourist thing. I really hadn't traveled when I was younger. Brought all of that back, and then began to realize there are many different ways all over the world that people are different, and then there's lots of things in common. And understanding that made me feel even a little bit more forgiving and easier on myself and on people who just were frightened.
Yeah, and would you say getting out of your comfort zone is key?
It was key. I think it's key for me. Eleanor Roosevelt said at one time, dare to do one thing every day. And Eleanor Roosevelt was the wife of a president, and in a lot of ways she had a personal strength along with a positional strength that allowed her to share messages. She was very responsible in terms of doing good things for other people, in terms of race, gender, you name it. And I think that when we get risk and do things, that we learn that we are enough to handle ourselves in any situation, so that most things won't be intimidating because we can stop and set a boundary. And I don't think we respect enough all the time as our species of other people's boundaries. My dog Zoe, who now is in dog heaven, taught me about boundaries and taught me how you collect information. She could easily go up to another dog and just go right up and sniff, their behind.
Yeah.
And it's like a computer chip. I mean, they got all the information, right? Didn't have to worry. Everything was fine and walked away. We humans go through such agony. You know, it's like if I want to learn something about you, I might go over to this person here and say, well, do you know anything about what's going on with him? Instead of me just going up and saying, hi, how are you?
I totally agree.
You know, it's an important phenomenon that our species, and I love our species, need to embrace, that we are equipped to a certain point, but where we are excellent is to ask questions from our heart.
Right. And that's what I'm trying to do here, at least give it a shot.
You're doing it. This is really, it's neat, and it's neat to talk like this. I mean, for me too.
Mm.
I can learn more about myself sitting here. I appreciate you so much.
I appreciate you too, and I thank you for coming out. I hope I have both of you back on the show, and I think that's it, guys. Great first show, in my opinion. So
thank you.
Great. Subscribe to American Hearts Radio. Have a good day. Have a great life. May 9th, next show. So I hope to see you there. Thank you for viewing. Thank you. I'll see you guys. And
what should we say? Peace. Relax.
Peace.